Again, clarifying question is different from a discussion.
To these people over here.
Okay, and to any of the ones represented here, I got to hold my computer because I got to show you something in a second. Clarifying questions about the presentation, anything that you heard. Question? Yes?
Question regarding the 127. Is that mostly involved in placing foster children in Christian homes, or are you talking about actually adopting the foster children out of the foster care system?
It's both. Our mission is to recruit, train, and support Christian families that we believe God is calling to either foster or adopt. So it's both.
Do you have a website for that?
Yes, we do. Project127.com. I have some brochures over here as well.
Ryan had the question, was this all organized into one? How do you guys network together? What's behind all this?
Obviously in the big city, when Mission America asked us, what is God doing in your city? It's like, hello. How do you answer that question? And so we actually convened focus groups. We talked to various people in different networks. We showed up at community efforts and meetings and listened to what was going on. So we all work together in various shapes and forms as city networkers, and that's kind of how we pulled it all together. Yes?
We're trying to be diverse. We're a bunch of men with one woman who helps out with administration. Where does someone like you come from?
That's great.
I don't know how to answer that question.
She
in the image of
volunteered
God.
last. She volunteered last. And can I answer? She was gracious enough to do the work because, frankly, all of us are so consumed with doing what we're doing. She did the research to pull this together. And by the way, they're probably out there. I think that probably for you, there's Lynn's out there for you too. But Lynn was aggressive enough to say, we can pull this thing off. And she pulled us into it. It wasn't the other way around.
Well, were you a volunteer in one of these things or something
No,
else?
I have my own organization, and it's a city movement type organization, and so I network with a lot of people, and you know, when you accept the invitation to be on the ground with the beginning, you don't really know what you're getting yourself into. So I didn't know that meant a different story in the beginning. But yeah, and I want to just add to that I do believe, you know, we talked about racial inclusion, but female inclusion in the Christian church is a huge issue that I didn't bother to address today. But thank you for noticing that I'm a woman.
Okay then, well, let's give it up for the women then.
It sounds like you're playing a role as an organizer. What group do you represent, and how long have you been working on building these kind of relationships in the city?
I represent my own organization, which happens, I don't know where Howard is in the room, but I have an organization called Work Alive Institute, which is this issue of bringing people of other places in culture and letting them know that they are as much a part of God's mission as anything else. So that means I'm in lots of networks in various areas of culture, and so I spend a lot of time networking with people.
But people network if they trust people. So how long have you been organizing and networking in Denver for a group of people that trust you enough to coalesce around?
Specifically in this arena, 2 years. And I will say that I was doing a master's degree. I just finished a graduate degree in social and civic entrepreneurship, which is how do you bring government, business, and the church together to address the issues of the world. And so it's amazing when you call up somebody and say, I'm doing a paper for my graduate program. Could I come and talk to you? So I met a lot of these people during that opened those doors.
Over here.
Who's my good friend with this? Yarda neighboring?
Yeah.
I love pastors, but I'll admit the last place they're at is home. I mean, quite literally, we're so busy saving the world that we've forgotten sometimes our own family.
Sure.
So neighbors is almost out of the question.
Yeah.
So how do you engage with pastors to re-engage with their family, which then frees them to know their neighbor quite literally?
Yeah, I was a pastor here in the city for about 9 years, and when this thing started, and when we had this moment with the mayor, we began to kind of look around the room and start to ask each other, how many of your neighbors, like the 8 closest to you, can you list by name? And the stats, the response from pastors is even worse than if you just do it in a room of just Christians. And that's mainly because, and my story was this, is that I was involved in all kinds of great neighboring. I was doing pastoral counseling, and I was doing, serving on different boards of nonprofits. But until I had that moment with the mayor, I had basically figured out kind of this little loophole to excuse myself from really being intentional with the people that live right around me. And so I think the danger is that when you make neighboring, and you use the Good Samaritan text to make neighboring a metaphor, that everybody becomes your neighbor. And that one of the things that we've learned is that when everyone's your neighbor, that often nobody is. And so I will say this, after being involved in like a lot of different vocational ministry things, the most powerful thing, the most powerful experiment that I've ever been a part of happened 4 years ago. My wife and I decided we're going to change some things in our life to be more present in our neighborhood, and we're just going to do some small things to get to know people and see what God does from there. And it's been a pretty amazing ride. So
just to validate, there's not a mayor, red or blue, Republican, Democrat, who's not looking for neighborhood revitalization.
yeah, city leaders get neighboring like at the deepest level. Most pastors don't. So like most people that like believe like the central teaching of the text is to like love God with everything you have and love your neighbor yourself. They don't really value neighboring that much. But the people who God's put in authority in our cities, they get it and they just light up and they're like dying. So we're seeing some like neat synergy when you connect those two.
Any other question? All right, here's a special that you're going to get today. You get one of these people at your table. You can get the bid right now. I'm going to give them, if you would please, just kind of, because you've already spoken, so you kind of recap of kind of that area of specialty, and then going to give you an opportunity to go ahead and call them to your table. It'll be first come, first serve, starting with tables with most women. Okay. So if you have women at the table, it'd be great. If you don't have it, you can be at the end. Okay. Yes, question in the back. Yes.
We're bidding.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. 30 seconds. So what you do, kind of a deal, so you kind of refresh memory. What did you do then? What you do?
Okay, so Dave Runyon with the Art of Neighboring, Andrew Neal with the Denver Rescue Mission and Homeless Project, Susan Wright with Project 121 Adoption and Foster Care, Bob Ryan with the Refugee Project, and Deb Meyer with the Interfaith Suburbanization and Poverty Project.
Okay, I saw Elaine, you were calling for who? Oh, I'm sorry. All right. Yeah. Okay, quick. Next table.
Homeless.
Come on, quick. Foster care, refugees. You got refugees? Interfaith. Then you got people over here, and the children. Foster care and adoption. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Foster care and adoption over there. You have 10 minutes, I'm sorry. 10 minutes. And You are free to go to another table if you like. You are free to go to another table.
Denver has those issues. All right, you know, we traditionally for us, though, how this was when I come in,
Starting